obeisances to you and all the duties. This is Krishna Kumari Devidasi from Radha.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Kumari Mataji, Dhanvat Pranam, all grace to Srila Prabhupada and Gurudev. Thank you so much for joining, Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dhanvat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharajas. This is Sita Priti Vedasi from Pune. Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna, Sita Priti Mataji, Dhanvat Pranam, all grace to Srila Prabhupada and Gurudev. Thank you so much for joining, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Go ahead, Mataji.
Okay. Hare Krishna, Mataji. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to Guru Maharaj and the assembled devotees. This is Flavia from Atlanta.
Hare Krishna, Mataji, Dhanvat Pranam, all grace to Srila Prabhupada and Gurudev. Thank you so much for joining.
Hare Krishna, Pavitra Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and all glories to Gurudev. This is Radha from Baltimore.
Hare Krishna, Radha Mataji, Dhanvat Pranam, all grace to Srila Prabhupada and Gurudev. Thank you so much for joining.
Hare Krishna Mataji, this is Dipti from London. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and to Sri Guru Maharaj.
Hare Krishna, Dipti Mataji, Dhanvat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada and Gurudev. Thank you so much for joining, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Pavitra Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances. This is Kamari Kidasi from Baltimore. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to Guru Maharaj. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Kamadki Mataji, Dhanvat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada and Gurudev. Thank you so much for joining, Mataji.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna.
Dhanvat Pranam, all glories to Prabhupada, all glories to Guru Maharaj, all glories to Assembly Devotee. This is Mohini Lakshmi from Detroit.
Hare Krishna, Mohini Lakshmi Mataji, Dhanvat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada and Gurudev. Thank you so much for joining.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dhanvat Pranam, all goes to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. This is Lavanya and Srinivas from Dallas.
Hare Krishna, Srinivas Prabhuji and Lavanya Mataji, Dhanvat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada and Gurudev. Thank you so much for joining.
Hare Krishna Mataji, this is Radha Damodar and Atma Maya from Austin, Texas. Please accept your humble obeisances. All glories to Guru Maharaj and glories to Sri, all glories to all the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Radha Damodar Prabhuji and Atma Mataji, Dhanvat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada and Gurudev. Thank you so much for joining.
Hare Krishna, Pavitra Madhavi Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. This is Brinda from Baltimore.
Hare Krishna, Vanda Mataji, Dhanvat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada and Gurudev. Thank you so much for joining. Hare Krishna. Is there anyone else who wants to introduce?
Hare Krishna Mataji, please accept our humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, Guru and Guranga. This is Dinabandhu Guru Das and Alita Devi Dasi from Sandy Ridge. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Dinabandhu Prabhuji and Alita Mataji, Dhanvat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada and Gurudev. Thank you so much for joining. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Pavitra Madhavi Mataji, Dhanvat Pranam, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai, Guru Maharaj ki Jai. This is Shyamagari Dasi from Charlotte.
Hare Krishna, Shama Gauri Mataji, Dhanvat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada and Gurudev. Thank you so much for joining.
If we are done with the introduction, Akshata wants to sing Jai Radha Madhav. Mataji, is Akshita there?
Yes, Mataji.
Yes, go ahead, Akshita. You can turn on your video.
Okay. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari
Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari
Yashodanandana
यशोदानन्दना व्रजसुनरञ्जना
यमुनातीरवनचारी
यमुनातीरवनचारी
जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी
कुंज बिहारी गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी
जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी
कुंज बिहारी गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी
हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे
Hare Krishna, Krishna
कृष्ण हरे राम राम राम
हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे
हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Shilpa, you can continue Kirtan because Maharaj is until Maharaj comes, okay?
Okay, Mataji. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna,
Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare
Akshita, you can.
Hare Rama
Hare
Ram Sankirtan ki jai.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Akshita. That was very beautiful kirtan. So I think Maharaj has joined now. That Prabhu is saying Maharaj has joined. I don't know. I don't see.
We can't see him on the call, Mataji. Not here.
He's not. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, Hare Krishna Prabhuji. We don't see Maharaj on the call. Yeah. Can you check? He might have joined some other call. We can continue chanting because I don't know what happened. That Prabhu was saying that Maharaja had joined, and that's why I stopped Akshita. Yeah. We can continue chanting until Maharaj comes. Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, 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 Hare Krishna,
Ram Ram Hare Hare Krishna Hare
Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna,
Ram Ram Hare Krishna Hare Krishna
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Krishna,
Ram Ram Hare Hare Krishna Hare
Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Ram Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Ram Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare
Ram
Ram,
Hare
Hare Krishna,
Ram Ram Hare
Ram Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna,
Ram Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Hare Ram 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 Hare
Ram
Hare
Ram,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Ram
Ram,
Ram Hare
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 Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram.
Hare Krishna,
Hare
Krishna Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare 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 Ram. Ram Hare Hare Krishna,
Ram
Krishna
Ram,
Ram 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 Hare Hare Krishna
Ram, Hare
Ram Ram Ram
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna,
Krishna, Krishna Hare 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 Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram.
Ram Ram
Hare
Hare Hare
Krishna,
Krishna
Krishna Krishna, Hare 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 Ram.
Krishna Krishna,
Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram.
Ram Ram, Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna Krishna,
Ram
Krishna Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare
Ram
Krishna,
Ram Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare
Ram
Ram
Ram,
Ram
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare
Ram,
Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Ram Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Ram Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna
Hare Krishna.
Krishna Ram Ram Hare Ram Ram
Hare Krishna Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to Guru Maharaj. Thank you so much, Maharaj. So, thank you everyone in this Bhakti Sangha Japa conference call. Today, we are very fortunate that we are having His Holiness Candramauli Swami Maharaj to enlighten us on Srimad Bhagavatam. So, thank you so much, Maharaj, for giving a valuable association and time. So thank you so much. Now I would like to hand over the call to you, Maharaj. Thank you so much for giving your valuable association. Hare Krishna.
You can bring the verse up on the screen. Okay. Mhm. So, Srimad Bhagavatam, 4th Canto, 29th chapter, 84th verse. Etam mukunda yasasa bhuvana punanam devarshivaya mukanistritam atmasaucham yakirtamano abhigachi paramestam nasmin bhava brahmati mukta samasta bandha. Translation. This narration, spoken by the great sage Narada, is full of transcendental fame of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Consequently, this narration, when described, certainly sanctifies this material world. It purifies the heart of the living entity and helps him attain his spiritual identity. One who relates this transcendental narration will be liberated from all material bondage and will no longer have to wander within this material world. So this verse is what is called a phalastuti. Phalastuti means the fruit or the benefit that one achieves from, as is described in the verse, from hearing this narration. As indicated in verse 79, Narada Muni advised King Prachinabhartu to take to devotional service rather than waste time performing ritualistic ceremonies and fruitive activities. So ritualistic ceremonies and fruitive activities are very common for those who have a preliminary and a very superficial understanding of spiritual life. They center their activities around receiving results from material results from religion by performing certain ceremonies that are recommended in the Vedas. Although they perform these ceremonies very nicely, their desire is to elevate themselves in the material world, or to gain some material benefit. So Narada Muni is speaking that these things are simply a waste of time. Take to devotional service. The vivid description of the subtle and gross bodies in this chapter are most scientific. This is the narration or the analogy given. And because they are given by the great sage Narada, they are authoritative. You'll see throughout the Bhagavatam that Bhagavatam deals with factual historical events. But in this particular narration, he uses analogy. And this is one of the few places, maybe there's only, I think there might be one more, in the whole Bhagavatam where allegory, it's more allegory than analogy. Allegory is used to give the points that are needed to be expressed rather than speaking directly philosophical teachings. Okay, continue on. Because these narrations are full of the glory of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, they constitute the most effective process for the purification of the mind. This is where the subject matter focus, purifying the mind. As Lord Chaitanya confirmed, Chaito Darpanam Marjanam. The more we talk of Krishna, think of Krishna, and preach for Krishna, the more we become purified. So here, Prabhupada sums it up, talking about Krishna more, thinking of Krishna more, and preaching for Krishna more, then purification becomes quicker and more complete. This means we no longer have to accept a hallucinatory, gross and subtle body, but instead attain our spiritual identity. So we have a body, and this body is one of many bodies that we've had throughout countless lives in the material world. It's hallucinatory because it stays for some times and then it's gone. And then we accept another body, and our identity changes according to the body we have. So that's why it's called hallucinatory. It's more like a dream. As we dream at night and accept various types of images that appear in the dream to be what is happening to us at the time of the dream, in the same way we are in this hallucinatory material world, and we get a gross body and a subtle body, and then we identify with that as us. But this is all an illusion. As Prabhupada says, then after some time, when we perform devotional service completely, we get a spiritual body, or our spiritual identity awakens, which is our real and permanent identity. One who tries to understand this instructive spiritual knowledge is delivered from this ocean of meshes. So this knowledge, spiritual knowledge, is real knowledge. Material knowledge simply has to do with this material body. And like the material body, it is also hallucinatory. So real knowledge is spiritual knowledge. And why? Because it frees us from all suffering and delivers us in full to fulfill all our desires permanently and completely. The word Parameshtyam is very significant in this connection. Parameshtyam is also called Brahmaloka. It is the planet on which Lord Brahma lives. The inhabitants of Brahma Loka always discuss such narrations. So after the annihilation of the material world, they can be directly transferred to the spiritual world. One who is transferred to the spiritual world does not have to go up and down within this material world. Sometimes spiritual activities are also called paramestam. So this word paramestam has two meanings. One is that those who, the Brahmaloka is called paramestam, but spiritual activities, or those activities that elevate us to the spiritual world, are called paramestam. This is an interesting analogy, not analogy, but an interesting description, because when the inhabitants of Brahmaloka engage in devotional service, they elevate them to the spiritual, themselves to the spiritual world. And spiritual activities are also called paramestam. They bring us to the spiritual world no matter where we are. The spiritual activities are called paramestam, which means spiritually elevating activities. Okay, so this is the conclusion of the purport. Om Agyan Timidandasya Ganajana Salakaya Chaksu Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurube Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swam Padantikam Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimakti Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nivasesa Sunyavari Pastyatire Satarine Vanshakalpa Tarubhascha Kripa Sindhu Vacha Patitanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namaho Namaha Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasati Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So what goes on today as spiritual activities are basically centered around the statement made in the purport where King Prachina Barhisha is interested in ritualistic activities and activities for fruitive gain. The majority of the living entities who take up spiritual life see spiritual life as opportunity to further material desires or successes. That's why it's quite common. You'll see people pray to the Lord for a better material situation, to fulfill material desires, to relieve one from material sufferings. In other words, the common people generally who take up any kind of religious or spiritual life is motivated by gain in material life. And there is another aspect which is not mentioned in this particular purport, but there is another class of people who perform spiritual life in order to realize themselves as the supreme. These are known as Mayavadis, or people who take things out of context and think that because the living entity is part and parcel of, or is the same nature as the supreme, the living entity is also the supreme. So in both categories of misconceptions, or what we say deviations from pure spiritual principles, the main thing is that I lost my train. The main thing is that spiritual life is about me. It's about bettering my situation in one form or another. And therefore, we find it very difficult to find people, very few people in this world actually know what is and perform real spiritual activities. As Srimad Bhagavatam explains, Dharma projita kaitavo. This is from the second verse of Srimad Bhagavatam in the very beginning, where it says that this Srimad Bhagavatam fully destroys or relieves, as Prabhupada says, kicks out any cheating type of religious activities. It simply deals with to hear and chant the glories of the Lord, completely rejecting all religious activities which are materially motivated. This Bhagavad Purana propounds the highest truth which is understandable to those devotees who are pure in heart. The highest truth is reality distinguished from illusion for the welfare of all. Such truth uproots the threefold miseries. This beautiful Bhagavatam, compiled by the great sage Vyasadeva in his maturity, is sufficient in itself for God realization. What is the need of any other scripture? As soon as one attentively and submissively hears the message of Bhagavatam, by this culture of knowledge, the Supreme Lord is established within the heart. So here, both relieving the ignorance and establishing the truth is stated within this translation. So as we say, there are four activities of the living entity in the material world: Dharma, Artha, Kama, and Moksha. And everyone in this material world is interested in getting benefits from one or more of these activities. Nowadays, people don't perform much Dharma. They're into Artha and Kama. Artha means economic development, Kama means sense gratification. That is the theme, the trend, the mood of people in general in this age of Kali Yuga. They don't even see any benefit of performing any kind of pious activities. But those who are a little bit higher, elevated, they perform Dharma. In other words, they are morally guided, morally motivated, and they perform pious and spiritual, religious activities, not spiritual, religious activities, in order to gain material. So it's very rare that you find anyone that who knows what is actually the goal of religion. Most people have no idea what religion is, what is the goal of religion, what is the purpose of religion, how to perform religious activities. Everyone just, what we say, very functionarily does a little bit of worship to the Lord and prays for better material situations, circumstances. Now, Krishna doesn't reject this, but this is only a preliminary to get connected. But when one actually comes to devotional service, then one starts to understand what is the purpose of devotional service. The real purpose of devotional service is to render loving devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead for the pleasure of the Lord. This is devotional service in essence. If someone were to ask you what is devotional service, it means to serve the Lord, to please the Lord. Of course, one has to know how to please the Lord, and learning how to please the Lord means to accept the message of pleasing the Lord coming from the Lord's pure devotee, the bona fide spiritual master, who is engaged in devotional service and knows how to please the Lord. So one who learns from that personality also becomes situated on the liberated platform, and eventually, as they practice, they will reach the pure spiritual platform. Now, this is not foreign to our nature, even in the material sense, because everyone is serving in one capacity to another. People don't use the word service. They sometimes think these are my activities. But when you look at the activities, how they're directed, everyone is serving some category of persons. The husband is serving the wife and the family. The wife is serving the husband and the children. The man going to work is serving his boss. Everyone is serving. Some people are serving each other through various philosophical and welfare activities. And if no one is serving in these capacities, then they're simply serving only the desires of their mind. And as Prabhupada sometimes says, that sometimes they have no one to serve, so they get some pet dog and they serve that dog. So everyone has to serve. The service principle is innate in the living entity. You can't stop serving. It's the question of how that service manifests. And even in this world, people want to please their dog, their husband, their wife, their children, their boss, their own mind. So therefore, the motivation for service generally is the same as, or not the motivation, but the pattern of service is the same when you look at it from both the material and spiritual perspectives. The only difference is the focus is on the Supreme Lord, which is our constitutional nature. Jivir Sarup Oi Krishnera Nityadas. All living entities are eternally servant of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, either in the Vaikuntha realm, serving the Lord in his four-handed form as Narayan or Vishnu, or serving the Lord in his two-handed transcendental form in the highest realm of spiritual existence, Sri Goloka Vrindavan. In either case, it is directed to the personality of Godhead, not to the impersonal. You cannot serve something that is not personal. It's like some people say, well, I'm serving my computer, I'm serving my car, I'm serving my, some inanimate object. But because we are person, we have to serve also something that is of the same nature, personal. Otherwise, there's no question of service. It's just usage. You use your computer, you use your car. You're not serving them because they're not animate. They are dull matter. Therefore, one has to serve something that is sentient, that has consciousness. So serving the Supreme Personality of Godhead is natural. It is natural, using the analogy of breathing, just like it is natural to breathe in this world we live in. We have a material body. It's so natural we don't even think about it. It just happens. So it's natural to nature and natural, this junction of two words which are similar in meaning. What is our nature is natural. And so what is natural is in connection to our nature. So to love and serve, and of course the principle of love is the principle of the goal of service, to exchange love, just like we try to exchange love between friends, between family members. Maybe we even try to love our broader society by doing work for people in general to elevate them to a better material situation. So this mood of love or compassion, the mood of extending oneself in an affectionate way towards other living entities is also part of the quality of our existence. Because it says that love is actually the goal of service. Service not for the service in order to reach in a loving exchange with the object of service, ultimately. Because unless the living entity comes to the platform of love, they remain incomplete in their service. One can serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead in a formal way, in a way that is without loving mood, but that love, that kind of service, simply relegates one to the results of liberation, but what doesn't get to the platform of love. Love is beyond liberation, and love is actually the innate quality of all living entities. So to love and serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead is normal. So those who are not doing that, they're not normal. These are the words of Srila Prabhupada. So therefore this movement, started by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and expanded by the Acharyas, coming all the way down to Srila Prabhupada and his representatives, is a mood of bhakti or devotion to serve the Lord, to awaken our natural love. As it says, Nitya Siddha Krishna Prema, Saruka Bunoi, Sravanadi Sudi Chitte, Kodiye Udoi. This Bengali verse from the Chaitanya Charitamrita says that in the hearts of all living entity, pure love for the Supreme Lord eternally exists. Chitte, it is fixed within the heart. Chitta means heart. So this verse here is describing the results of hearing this narration about the supremacy of bhakti over all other forms of religious and spiritual activities. So one who hears this narration and maybe reads it again, speaks about it to their friends and others, will gain elevation to the spiritual world. This is the Bhagavatam gives a lot of falastutis. Falastuti is a benediction that comes by hearing and chanting the glories of Srimad Bhagavatam. And as Prabhupada writes in his purport, this is the essence of elevation of our consciousness, to hear more about Krishna, to chant more about Krishna, and to preach more about Krishna, as he mentions there. So he sums it up in a very simplified understanding. So devotional service is not so hard when you understand it in its very simple terms. Hear more about Krishna, chant more about Krishna, and talk more about Krishna. And give that knowledge of Krishna to others in one way or another. Okay, so we can stop here and see if there's any comments or questions.
Yeah, Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Thank you, Maharaj, for the nice points on this verse. Maharaj, I have one general question. Like the numbering looks different, Maharaj. After a verse 85, right? Let me see, Maharaj. After some verses, in the last 3 verses, the numbering is different, Maharaj. Like after 85, then it goes back to 29.1a, 2a, Maharaj, and 29.1b, right? Just trying to see, Maharaj, why these are numbered this way.
It's mentioned that one sage from the Madhvacharya, I think is Vijay Acharya, I can't remember his full name, has mentioned that these 4 verses, 1a, 1b, 2a, and 2b, are to be placed within the larger stream of the entire verses. So that's mentioned within there. So yeah. So it's mentioned there.
Okay, Maharaj. Maybe it will come next.
So it's just that these are verses that belong within the text, but didn't get put into the text, so they're put on as an addendum to the text at the end.
Okay, Maharaj.
Yeah.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Yeah, I think Sugopi had a question.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Prabhupada. I was wondering, you were talking about service, and I was wondering for neophyte devotees like me, how would I know if Krishna is pleased or not with my service?
Yeah, that question was been asked to Srila Prabhupada many times. He says, because you're a part and parcel of Krishna, and devotional service connects you with Krishna, so when Krishna is pleased, you also feel pleased.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Yeah. And because as soon as you do devotional service, you connect. And soon, because of that connection, you experience the same thing. Krishna is pleased, you're pleased. If Krishna is not pleased, then you don't feel that satisfaction of your activity.
Thank you so much, Maharaj.
It took me almost 15 minutes to get onto the Zoom program today because Krishna wasn't pleased. I couldn't get on. I tried everything. Usually I do it in about 10 seconds. Now it took me more than 10 minutes to get on. So it's the same activity, but Krishna wasn't pleased, so I couldn't get on. Finally, he decided to show some mercy.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, Dhanyavad Pranam. Thank you so much for the wonderful class. Maharaj, there is a question on the chat also. Do you want me to read it, Maharaj?
Put it up and read it at the same time.
Okay. Hare Krishna, dear Maharaj. This is from Bhakta Roberto. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. All glories to you, dear Maharaj. How can we feel Krishna's presence more when we are serving him? Your servant, Roberto.
Well, there is a way, but there is another answer to that question, which was given by Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati. And don't try to see Krishna, but try to serve Krishna in such a way that Krishna wants to see you. So don't worry about feeling Krishna or seeing Krishna. Try to think how best to serve Krishna. And when Krishna is pleased, he'll reveal himself in different ways. Well, one of the ways is that when the mood of devotional service, which allows us to feel the presence of Krishna more and more, is the mood of humility. So one who serves in a humble way and develops that mood of humility continuously can experience the presence of Krishna more and more.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. So if I'm pot washing for Krishna, so I should think like, oh, let me do such a nice service to him so that he would, if he actually comes to the pot washing area afterwards, he would be really pleased. Or should I also, when I'm pot washing, to think about him and trying to lovingly do the service?
That's up to you. It says that in the beginning stages when we practice bhakti, we become absorbed in the activity. But as we develop our Krishna consciousness, then along with the activity, we want to remember Krishna more and more. You can practice both at the same time.
So it's like, yeah, I do kind of find it much more absorbing if when I'm actually reminding myself of who am I doing this, that he's a person, that I'm personally like, this kind of, personal service, and to remind my mind that it's a person that you're serving, not.
Yes, that's very good. Yeah, you should do that.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
Guru Maharaj, Hare Krishna, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to your holiness. In the course of today's lecture, Guru Maharaj, which was again a wonderful lecture, thank you so much for having
Sri Devi, you lower your volume, it's too loud.
I'm sorry, okay. He said that devotional service means to serve Lord, to please the Lord. And learning how to please the Lord means learning from the pure spiritual master. One who follows in this way becomes liberated and then comes to the pure stage. So as I was writing this, I was thinking, is becoming liberated a preliminary stage before we come to the pure stage? And what is that liberation we are talking about?
Yeah, as soon as you engage in devotional service is not part of the three modes of material nature. It's transcendental, so it's on the liberated platform. So you may not understand it, but as soon as you're engaged in devotional service, you're already liberated. You connect with the spiritual energy, and you develop the same characteristic. And then, as you practice that devotional service, your consciousness comes higher and higher, eventually to the stage of loving Krishna. Loving Krishna may not be there in the beginning, but as soon as you engage in devotional service, you are on the liberated platform. Devotional service is not part of this material world. It's Krishna's internal energy governed by Srimati Radharani herself. She is Bhakti Devi. She's in charge of pure devotional service.
Thank you so much, Guru Maharaj. And I have another very quick practical question.
Yeah, give everybody, there's 50
Okay.
people. You come back later with the second question.
Okay, thank you so much.
Okay, is there anyone else?
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Maharaj, for such a wonderful class. So, if no one has any question or don't want to share any realization now, so we can stop here.
Hare Krishna, Mataji, that Sudevi Mataji has the question. Sri Devi.
Okay, Mataji.
You can go ahead. Sri Devi.
Thank you so much. Guru Maharaj, my question is just a simple practical question. There may be an opportunity to do a Diwali program in a homeless shelter possibly. Now, is it all right to just ask the people to offer a candle instead of a ghee lamp, which may not be practical?
You asked the wrong person for that question.
Or if you recommend the ghee lamp, then how to do it in such a way that there's not this problem of, oh, this hot ghee fell on my hand and I got burnt and this and that.
Why are you asking these questions that are common sense, practical things? Just figure that one out yourself.
Okay, Guru Maharaj. Sorry.
You should ask questions that are about the topic that we're discussing now.
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and all glories to you. You spoke about that the goal of our spiritual life is to please Krishna, and that we shouldn't have any personal motivations in it. And I just remember that so many times I don't even notice, but my spiritual practices have this also this mood that I want to escape suffering or something like that. So I was just thinking, how can I make sure that I always have Krishna's pleasure in my focus?
Yeah, this is a process. We may not be able to jump up to the ideal stage from where we are, but it doesn't mean because you have these, what we say, personal concerns, which are just very simplified bodily needs, that you can't render service. It's a process. As you purify your consciousness through chanting and serving, and as you start to realize the goal of Krishna consciousness, then these things start to fall away. Yeah.
Is it? Does it mean that at this point this is not how to say this mixed devotional service? Purified while doing the process.
It's mixed, yeah, but that's okay. Doesn't mean because it's mixed, you shouldn't do it. But you can pray to Krishna to free you from these tendencies, these material desires, and this is part of the process. Not only do we render service, but we also offer prayers in order to awaken bhakti and to remove those things that are blocking our natural bhakti. So yeah, you can focus away from these things through the mood of prayer and focus on the pure devotional activity in the mood of prayer also.
I see. Thank you very much. It was really, really helpful. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Hare Krishna. Sugopi, you have another question?
I didn't think of another one, Maharaj. I'm just listening.
Okay. Yeah, so is there anyone else out there? Shamagori, are you with us?
Hare Krishna Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. All Krishna Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Maharaj, for your association. It's wonderful to have your class every Friday. It's so nice.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm seeing your lovely home behind you, remembering how I used to run around.
Yeah, Maharaj, we are missing you so much.
Yeah, this lockdown has benefits, but it also has drawbacks. The drawbacks is that we're not able to interact so much with other devotees.
Yes.
So we take advantage of the benefits by increasing our hearing and chanting and
Yes, Maharaj.
preaching, but we look forward to when we can again, as the society, come together in our temples and in our programs. This is, I think this is the desire of most of our devotees, that yes, this lockdown has benefits because we can study more, we can chant more, we can, I mean, I'm giving 2 classes a day on the average, and I never used to do that when I would travel.
Yeah.
That was rare, sometimes would happen. So from that perspective, there is much spiritual advantage. But then again, sadhu sangha is the mood of Vaishnavas. Vaishnavas always like to come together, chant, dance, and take prasad, and discuss philosophical and spiritual teachings.
Thank you, Maharaj. And please bless us. We will have like a chant more and more, do study Bhagavatam and all the Prabhupada's book.
Thank you. Hare Krishna. Jai Ho. Pavitra, how are we doing?
Yes, ma'am. Yes. Thank you, Maharaj. Thank you for the wonderful association. So, yeah, thank you so much, Maharaj. It's so valuable to associate with you, and it's your mercy only that you are coming. We are so grateful to you. So, thank you so much, Maharaj.
I'm getting so many thank yous, I don't know what to do.
Please bless us.
Just, Maharaj, you just accept those. Thank you.
I appreciate your very warm spiritual expressions. But can I tell you something that will destroy everything?
Yes.
Okay, that in Vedic culture, the whole idea of saying thank you is not part of any exchange. Nobody says thank you. Why? Because the person who serves is the person who benefits.
Oh.
So therefore, this idea of thank you is just the thing that has come up because of Western culture, connection with Western culture.
Yes.
Where everyone they think that the person who is getting is the one that's benefiting. But in Vedic culture, it's the person who's serving is the one that's benefiting.
Very important.
So therefore, people who didn't usually say thank you, they would say Hare Krishna, say like that.
Hare Krishna.
So now you're going to tell me thank you again. So
Maharaj, we only get by our darshan only we get mercy. Darshan e pavitra kare, yahi tumhara gun. So if we are not benefited anywhere, like we are getting benefited by your darshan also. So we are fortunate to have your darshan also on every Fridays.
Yeah, let's pay our obeisances to Maharaj.
Yeah.
Vancha
Sarvesha kripa sindhu patitanam pavnebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namo. अनंत कोटि वैष्णवंद की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय, श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय, हिज होलीनेस चंद्रमौली स्वामी महाराज की जय. Thank you so much. So we are
Hare
moving
Krishna Maharaj,
forward
Dandvat Pranam.
to our next session, that is Kartik Parikrama. So I would request Her Grace Padma Sakhi Mataji so to please start Vrindavan Parikrama.
Yeah. Hare Krishna, Maharaj.
Hare Krishna, dear devotee. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So, if the devotees they want to do parikrama, they can stay. Otherwise, they can log out. So we will be doing Brajamandal Parikrama every day after the class. It's very beneficial and it's as good as doing Parikrama in person, like actually going to Brajadham. So Brajamandal is the 84 acres of Parikrama. It's like near about 252 meters. So we are walking every day to the places which are given in the book called Brajamandal Darshan, written by His Holiness Loknath Swami Maharaj. So today we are going from Badrinath to Kamyavan via
Hare Krishna.
Kedar. Yeah.
Mataji, somehow just now I realized I didn't add Kedarnath map, so I wanted to show here. I think by mistake it got deleted. I remember I added. I don't know how it got deleted.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is the map of Kedarnath. Actually, Kedarnath is one of the longest walks.
Yes.
Right, Gauri Mataji?
Yes, Mataji. Badrinath and Kedarnath, they both make you walk.
Yeah. So this is Badrinath. We have seen Alipura yesterday, then Baroli Gram, then beyond Gauri Kund, then here is Kedarnath. So after we go, then we will enter the town of Kamyavan. So there is Charan Pahadi, Gai Kund, Gaya Kund, Kaman town is Kamyavan. So this is how we will go today. Let's see. I will share the screen. I don't know how I will. So, Mataji, can we start?
Yes, Mataji, you can do the prayer.
So we will start with the prayer. So we'll seek the prayers of Srimati Radharani, Sri Krishna, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Sri Nityananda Prabhu, all the Guru Vargas and all the devotees before we start our parikrama. So yesterday we finished our Badrinath. So from Badrinath now we are going to Kamyavan. On the way we are seeing Kedarnath also. And yesterday while doing Badrinath Parikrama, past 2 days, we have seen that Narayana wanted to do Parikrama, Narayana wanted to stay in Badrinath and do his austerities. That is why Lord Shiva has moved to another peak, that is Kedarnath. So Shiva is reciting here. And this is how you see the devotees are going. It's actually one of the longest walk. There are 270 steps to go there. So these are the steps, if you see there, steps.
Actually Kedarnath is so much of walk. Actually, not just walk, it's climbing up the hill, and it's very extremely cold there. But here in Vrindavan, it's hot. Actually, when we went that time, it was summer, and it was really hot.
Very hot.
Very hot, and when you climb up there, it gets more hot. But it gives the nice feeling that climbing up the mountains and going to Kedarnath, it's really wonderful to have this Kedarnath Dham in Vrindavan.
Yeah, Madhi, lot of blisters also come. You walk on the rocks and legs are full of blisters.
Yes.
Yeah. So this is the way. So you see the temple there. See rocks. We have to climb all these rocks. See, they're walking. The devotees. Some people are walking there to the temple. Then see, this is the Actually, we are getting close now. This looks like Agasura opening mouth, like that cave. So inside there is Shivling. We all have to actually bend and go. See, we cannot walk. We have to crawl to take the darshan of Lord Shiva here. See, this is the deity. Please take blessings. So I was actually wondering why Lord Shiva is worshipped in the form of linga. This is the Badrinath in Kedarnath. Actually, there was Adi Shankaracharya also stayed. He left this material world in the maybe when he was 30s, if I am not wrong. So he stayed for lot of years. He was at this Kedarnath on the Himalayas. And 2013 or sometime there was a very big storm on like Kedarnath, the Himalayas. Then Adi Shankaracharya's his samadhi has got flooded away, but the temple has been saved because there is a big boulder rock that fell down behind the Kedarnath temple because of the storm and the floods. So that rock actually has protected not the water not falling, so it didn't get flooded away. Indradumna Maharaj was explaining in his lecture on Kedarnath. So then Kedarnath is the highest of the 4 dhams. It has like 3,583 meters, 11,755 feet. So this is the height of Kedarnath mountain in the Himalayas, but in Vrindavan it is not this. It's not so big, and as Mataji said, it is not so cold also. And we know that Krishna didn't want the Vrindavan Brajavasis to go outside. That is the reason why he brought all the dhams here. And we know how Lord Shiva is the great, many times we hear that he is the greatest of all the Vaishnavas. And we know he's the protector, Kshetra Palak of Vrindavan. So many deities are there in Vrindavan. So he's very, very merciful. If we have to reach Krishna, he will definitely take us. In one of Srila Prabhupada's talks in Chicago, somebody was asking, like, there is one person who comes to our programs, but he eats prasad, he does donations, but he just always chants the mantra of Shiva. Then Prabhupada said, it's okay, he will eventually come to Krishna. So the problem with the Shiva worshippers is they worship thinking Shiva is independent of Krishna, but we see that we worship Shiva as the greatest Vaishnava. That is the difference of our worship and those who are like thinking we should not worship. The Prabhupada said that like we should not think Shiva is independent of Krishna or Shiva is the top. Shiva is the greatest Vaishnava. We respect him that way. And then there is Gauri Kund, which is named after Mother Parvati. Actually, this Gauri Kund is also there in the, like when we are going to Kedarnath in Himalayas, Gauri Kund comes before even Kedarnath. And I think if Gauri Kund is reached, we are always getting close to Kedarnath.
Yeah, it's almost in between. Like when you start from Rishikesh and go to Kedarnath, so the Gauri Kund comes in the middle. It's like, from Gauri Kund also there's so much of walking, because I have gone there when I was like 16 years old.
Oh, Mataji. So yeah, they say Mataji, Gauri Kund, this is the place where Mother Parvati, with her.
I used to take that, and that kund also has the hot water in Gauri Kund. It's called like that area itself is called Gauri Kund area. So there, actually Gauri Kund also has the hot water.
Yeah, and here is where she made Ganesha with her that powder, right?
Yes, yes.
Gauri Kund. Yeah, and actually the Kedarnath temple is built in the Himalayas by Pandavas 5,000 years ago. So what happened was after the Kurukshetra war, they were feeling very, very we know Yudhishthir was feeling very bad that because of his, he is, there is no need to feel bad, but because Krishna wanted to that war to happen, but still out of his compassionate nature, he was feeling very bad that, he had to fight and kill so many soldiers in the war. He was feeling so bad, and they will go to Lord Shiva. They will approach so that Shiva might do something. But what will Shiva do? Shiva didn't want to interfere. So what will he do? He will become a bull. Indradumna Swami Maharaj was explaining that Shiva becomes a bull and he will hide from the Pandavas. Then they will go to Varanasi and they will be searching for Shiva, thinking that that is the place where he resides. But then again they will come back to Himalayas, knowing that Lord Shiva is in the Himalayas. Then Bhima will identify Shiva, that that Shiva is in the form of bull. Then he will hold his hind legs. Then Shiva is trying to escape, and then he will go under the earth. We know bulls have this hump, right? Bulls and cows. So that hump was only shown. The other part went under the earth, and the body has raised in Nepal. The body is raised in Nepal, and the hump was there in Himalayas. And out of respect to Shiva, the Pandavas have built a temple, and because hump is in the linga, linga is like that hump, right? So that's why that's why we see Shiva worshipped as that linga form. I didn't know the reason. I came to know yesterday only when Maharaj was explaining.
Yeah, when we go to Kedarnath, we actually see that hump. There is no linga in Kedarnath, just a hump there. So, like you said, the back of the bull.
Yeah. So we know home is where the heart is, and Shiva's heart is always meditating on Krishna. So his home is where Krishna is, and definitely so his home is Vrindavan. So if we want to make our home as Vrindavan, then we should actually seek the shelter of Lord Shiva. So that is about Kedarnath. Mataji, you want to add anything?
No, Mataji.
Yeah. And now from there we are going to Charan Pahadi. That means we are entering Kamyavan. So Kamyavan is one of the biggest. We will see some maybe 5-10 minutes how much we can finish Kamyavan. We'll see, and then we will look at one video. Is that okay, Mataji? Kedarnath video.
So, Mataji, one more pastime there, like when Parvati was going out, getting ready, and say, I have to go. And Shiva was asking, where are you going? You say, it's a secret. You don't have nothing to do with you. You don't come. And then he said, no. What? Tell me what's there. They say, he said, I am going to participate in Ras Leela of Krishna. Say, Shiva said, I also want to come. And then he said, how you will come? No gents allowed there, only ladies will be there, only one purusha is there. It's, that's Krishna. Then say, give me your sari. So Krishna wears the Shiva wears the sari, and all the makeup takes from Parvati, and he dressed up like a gopi and goes with Parvati. And when Parvati asked, who is this? They say, this is my friend. She also wants to participate in Ras Leela. So, one step, first, while dancing, we go slow. We start with slow motions. So everything was good, nicely going, and second was also good, little bit faster. And when the last round came and it went very fast, then Shiva forgot that he has dressed up as a gopi, and he has to dance very nicely, and he forgot. He started doing his Tandav Nritya, and he started doing Tandav Nritya. All the makeup and everything came off, and they realized, oh my God, this is Shiva. So
where did that pastime happen, Mataji?
So that pastime happened in Kamyavan.
Oh, in Kamyavan.
Yeah, so that Ras Leela happened in Kamyavan. That's why I was telling this pastime.
Thank you, Matish. That's a very beautiful pastime. Yeah. So this is Kamyavan from Kamyavan is one little. It's a biggest forest of Vrindavan 12 forest, and it's a very beautiful. So many beautiful pastimes, and so much is there to look at. And so Kamya means Mataji, give me a minute. So actually, Kamya means desires. So in Kamyavan, all our desires will be fulfilled. In Adi Varaha Purana, it says that there are 640 million tears in Kamyavan. Means everybody coming and crying, you know, that when we have desires, we ardently ask, right? So Adi Varaha Purana says that, and in Vrajariti Chintamani, Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur says, one meaning is Kamya is desire. So that's why it will fulfill all our desires. It's called Kamyavan. And another explanation is Kamya means extremely beautiful, well adorned, or highly attractive. This forest within Vrajamandala is the most charming pastime place of Sri Krishna. Many pleasant lakes, wells, ponds, trees, creepers, flowers, fruits, and species of birds contribute to its extraordinary beauty. So hence it is called Kamyavan. Because it's very beautiful, it is called Kamyavan. And according to Vishnu Purana, there are 84 sacred ponds, 84 temples, 84 thrones, and 84 pillars in Kamyavan. We will see that 84 pillars and kunds we will see. So that is the speciality about Kamyavan. So now, as we are going from Kamyavan, like Kedarnath to Kamyavan, the first thing we are touching is Charan Pahadi. So actually this hill, Kamyavan, this belongs to Sumukha Gopa. Who is Sumukha Gopa? He is the father of Mother Yashoda. So this is the place of Mother Yashoda, and Krishna used to come every day bringing his cows. With the cowherd boys, he would come here. And if you are standing here in Kamyavan, you can see the hills of Varsana and Nandagaon at a distance. So that means that Radharani and Krishna, you know, it's an accessible distance that they come. So they used to come here, and the cows, you know, they get scattered here and there. And when it is time to go, Krishna would play his flute. He would play it so enchantingly, and we know Krishna's fifth node is how you know, power. They say that Krishna has different nodes. One node is, it's like of different cell phone numbers we call, right, for different Prabhujis and Matajis. So different nodes are like different calling, like cell phone numbers for Krishna. And when he plays the fifth node, that means all the nodes are included in the fifth node. That's why it's very, very enchanting. So when he plays the flute calling for the cows, it was so enchanting. The solids are becoming to liquids, liquids are becoming to solids, and the place where he was playing got melted. And because of his Tribanga position, we see the footprints of Lord Krishna. Because of the Tribanga, this is like the tip of the other foot, and this is the complete foot. So that is called Charan Pahadi. This is the entrance of the Charan Pahadi, and Pahadi means mountain. So all our acharyas also came here. All our acharyas also came here, and they took the dust of Krishna's feet. And then there is Gaya Kunda. We know in both Gaya, there like Krishna, again, Krishna doesn't want Nanda Maharaj. Nanda Maharaj wanted to, you know, offer oblations to his forefathers, but Krishna didn't want him to leave this place. So he started saying, Baba, Baba, here only I will, you know, there is, you know, Gaya Kund here, you can perform your oblations here. So Krishna made this Kund so for Nanda Maharaj, so that he will not leave Vrindavan. And till date, many offer their oblations to their forefathers at this Gaya Kund. And near the Charan Pahadi only, as we come down near that.
And at Gaya, actually the Gaya is the dham where we all go and do the Shraddha for our forefathers. So
yeah,
the place.
In Bodh Gaya, right, Mataji?
Yes.
Yeah. Bihar, I think it's in Bihar.
Yes.
Yeah, so Krishna brought it here, and then this.
Can you do the the what screen you are sharing? Can you do it in the presentation mode? Because what we see, yeah, that's good. That's good.
Sorry, Mataji. Yeah. So then comes the Lukluka Kund. Lukluka means hide and seek. So we are seeing here, right? So what happens is Radharani and Krishna plays hide and seek here, and Radharani will be saying that, you know, I am going to hide and you cannot catch me. But Krishna says, no, I can catch you. So Radharani will go and hide, and Krishna will be looking at different places. Then he cannot find Radharani. Then he will ask the creepers, the latas, saying, where is my Praneshwari? Where is Radharani? Then the creepers explain, they will show. Creepers have the leaves like this, right? Like a folded arms, they will be showing which side Radharani has gone, and that is how Krishna will catch Radharani, and Radharani would ask, hey, how did you catch me? Did my gopis tell you? Did they reveal my place? But Krishna would say, no, the creepers have helped. I am very, very grateful to them. So actually here there is one prayer, very beautiful. I never heard this prayer, but yesterday I came across this prayer that many times, like, our prayer should be that, oh Radha, oh Shyam, for countless lifetimes I have been searching for you. Where are you hiding? How and when will I ever find your hiding place? Then one very fine day, Sri Guru come and pointed to my heart, saying, the darling playful pair are there in the cave of your heart. So less like the latas helped Krishna, showing that, see, she's in that cave. So Guru came and he said, like, he's in the cave of your heart. So that is one prayer we can do here. And here there is why did it? Okay, yeah, and here actually there is one more pastime that happened. It, like, Lukluka Kund is there. So what used to happen in Lukluka Kund is Krishna would go under Krishna and the gopis would go for swimming, and Krishna would go under the water, and he would tease the gopis by holding their feet and pulling them down, and he would differentiate the lotus feet of Radharani from the other gopis, and he would pull Radharani down, and if Radharani is not there, he was pulling the other gopis. So that's how he used to tease in the Lukluka Kunda. He used to tease the gopis. So I think, Mataji, we will stop here and see the video, 5 minutes video. Then we can see Kamyavan interior parikrama tomorrow.
Yeah. I think we are done with day 12 today.
Yeah, it's